So, Namaskar, all of you. Odisha Civil Service 2023 Mains Optional Test Series, Optional Law ର 9th Test तार questions जोड़ा मैं discuss करिवी. So, test number 9 ର ଆମର paper 1 sub module international law ର sub module 1 to 5 एटा हमरो portion थिला. So, let us go to the questions. Online students ଆପଣ ତାକୁ ଗୋଟେ PDF କୁ convert କରିକି 9437002210 ସେଠିକି ପଠେଇ ପାରିବେ 4 days ଭିତରେ ତାର evaluation ହବ ଆଉ जो माने classroom students ଆପଣ आंसर लिखिकी क्लास रे सबमिट कर देबे ओके सेटा 4 days ଭିତରେ ଆପଣଙ୍କ evaluation ହେଇକି हार्ड कॉपी टा आपनको मिल जू सेक्शन 1 को आसंतु there are 12 questions you have to answer any 10 250 words ro 15 marks each question. How do natural law and positivist theories differ in their conceptualization of international law? And what implications do these differences have for the legitimacy of international legal norms? Question 2. Considering the principle of state sovereignty, what mechanisms exist to ensure compliance with international law and how effective are they in practice? Question 3. How do monist and dualist theories explain the incorporation of international law into domestic legal systems and what are the practical implications of each approach? Question 4. In what ways has Indian judiciary addressed the application of international human rights norms in domestic cases? And what does this indicate about India's stance on the relationship between international law and municipal law? Question 5. What are the legal consequences of statelessness under international law and how do they impact an individual access to fundamental human rights? Question 6. What are the primary mechanisms for enforcing human rights at the international level and how do their jurisdictions and power differ? Question 7. What are the declarative and constitutive theories of state recognition and how do they influence the legitimacy and functionality of new states in the international system? Question 8. In the context of state succession, how are treaty obligations and state debts typically handled and what principles guide these decisions? Question 9. What are the essential elements required for the formation of a valid treaty under the Vienna Convention on Law of Treaties? Question 10. Under what circumstances can a state lawfully terminate or withdraw from a treaty and what procedures must be followed according to the international law? Question 11. What are the primary functions of UN General Assembly and how do its resolutions influence international law despite their non-binding nature? Question 12. How does veto power of 5 permanent members of UN Security Council affect its decision making process and enforcement of international law? Section B 6टा क्वेश्चन अछि एनी 5 आपन करियार अछि 300 words भितरे 20 मार्क each question. Question 13. International law is the vanishing point of jurisprudence. Sir Thomas Erskine Holland. How does Holland's assertion reflect the challenges in defining the enforceability of international law compared to domestic law and what developments have occurred since his time to address these challenges? Okay. The consent of states is the foundation of international law. Lassa Oppenheim. Considering Oppenheim's assertion, how does the concept of just cogence norms, which are binding irrespective of state consent, fit with traditional framework of international law based on state consent? Question 15. How has the International Court of Justice applied the principle of effet utile in its jurisprudence to ensure that the treaty provisions are interpreted in a manner that gives them practical effect? Question 16. In what ways have international courts and tribunals adjudicated disputes stemming from reservations to human rights treaties, particularly when such reservations are deemed incompatible with the object and purpose of treaty? Question 17. In what ways has the Security Council authorization of military interventions under Chapter 7 of UN Charter been both supported and criticized in international law discourse? How does the principle of pacta sunt servanda underpin the binding nature of treaties and what exceptions exist to this principle. So এটা আপনার টেস্ট নাম্বার 9 penultimate টেস্ট जोटा कि मॉड्यूल और सेक्शनल टेस्ट नेक्स्ट टेस्ट जोटा कि हमारा लास्ट टेस्ट लास्ट सेक्शनल टेस्ट 10 नंबर टेस्ट सेटा फेब्रुआरी 8 रे अछि जोथे कि लॉ ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स और मर्केंटाइल लॉ सेही पार्टटा पडिबो तापरे 11 नंबर रु 16 नंबर आपनकर फुल सिलेबस टेस्ट गुडा रहउछि सो आई विश यू ऑल द बेस्ट जो माने लॉ ऑप्शनल नै कि ओडिसा सिविल सर्विस मेंस में प्रिपेयर करछंती नमस्कार।